Hey, Justin, you want to watch a movie?
Yeah, sure. What you got?
What do you think about,
No, I saw it last week.
Oh, what about,
Not again.
Oh. How about this?
Wait. You want me to watch what?
So, tell me what you thought of Cannibal the Musical.
It is probably the most spadoinkle thing I've ever seen.
You know, if this movie had been made 20 years earlier, it would have run with Rocky Horror Picture Show at midnight theaters.
Yes.
Like, it's that kind of movie.
It is.
Little less polish, a lot less polish, and an infinite amount less Tim Curry.
Yeah, let's
But similar energy, I'm going to say.
Yeah, let's be reasonable here. It's a lot less polished.
Yeah. So, welcome, for those of you joining us, to You Want Me to Watch What? Podcast, Justin and I, who have seen many, many movies, but not all of them together. And so we're rectifying some of that by specifically choosing movies that the other hasn't seen and then getting to talk about it for a little bit. And this week, we watched Cannibal the Musical, a 1993 black comedy western musical directed, written, produced, co-starred, and scored by Trey Parker of South Park, Orgasmo, The Book of Mormon,
Basketball
fame. And it is certainly a thing. So this movie, it came out in 1993. You know, is when it all happened. And it was picked up by Troma like 5 years later.
Yeah.
Right? Two, maybe not even that far. Troma then took it and said, you know what? We're gonna, this is the best thing that we've ever seen. Because Troma had made things like The Toxic Avenger and, you know, the incredible mixed up kids who became flesh-eating zombies. Such hits. Kabuki Man, you know, was a Troma masterpiece. But let's get into it. So the movie begins with this really long paragraph at the very beginning that this was a film that was made in the 50s in the style, you know, and was overshadowed by the likes of Rodgers and Hammerstein. And it was recently discovered and, you know, for today's more delicate sensibilities, the violence has been edited and toned down. And then it opens up with 3 minutes of people being dismembered and like all the splatter effects and all the gore that you can possibly imagine.
Yep.
And it is so grotesque and it's so low budget that honestly, if you don't laugh at the first 3 minutes at its outrageousness, it's like the rest of the movie is probably not going to help.
Yeah.
But so we get this gruesome reenactment of the cannibalism, all being described by the prosecuting attorney during Alfred Packer's 1883 trial.
I will say the sudden transition from the visual graphicness to the lawyer mimicking eating somebody.
Fun fact number one, the courtroom scenes are taken from the transcripts of the actual Alfred Packer trial.
Oh.
As this is all going, and all of a sudden you see who you assume Alfred Packer, you know, sitting there looking just shell-shocked. He's like, but that's not how it happened.
Yeah.
Introduce to Polly Pry. Polly is an intrepid reporter, and she wants to find out what's the actual story. She wants something to be able to turn in, and she's told, just ask him about Leanne. So she does. I was hoping you could tell me about Leanne. You know Leanne? Leanne's the horse.
Yes.
Leanne is, and it's important to know from the very beginning that Leanne is Alfred Packer's horse. Because Leanne was also Trey Parker's girlfriend that had just broken up with him when they were making this movie.
Oh.
And so we get our very first song, Spadoinkle Day. You know, the sky is blue and all the leaves are green. The sun's as warm as a baked potato. I think you know precisely what I mean when I say it's a spadoinkle day. And lest you think, well, what the heck's that all about? If you ever watch South Park and when the brain of airplane flies in at the end of the credits, this is that tune. Da 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 dun dun.
Nice.
That's the tune for this. For Spadoinkle, you know, the song Spadoinkle. Which in the in the DVD release, they have a drunk commentary. Spadoinkle was the nonsense word that was going to be filled in with something else later, and they just kept it because everyone who heard it liked it.
Oh.
So we find out that Packer is wanting to get back. He's from the Colorado Territory. He kind of wants to go back there, and he comes in with a group of miners people who mine, who also want to get to Colorado for the riches, for all of the gold and so forth. They're supposed to be led by Lucky Larry. Unfortunately, Lucky Larry had been struck by lightning. It did not go well for him.
Mm-mm.
And so this group decides, well, we'll go with Packer since he knows where he's going. He doesn't. But this is where we get our second song. You know, That's All I'm Asking For. You know, where all of them are talking about these are the things that we really want. And it all boils down to, I want to be rich to do these things. You know, I want to be rich so that I can be with a woman. I want to be rich so I can open my own store. I want to be rich so I can stop being poor.
A reasonable aspiration.
We're tired of being sick. We're sick of being poor. And they asked Packers, like, how long is this going to take? Oh, not more than 3 weeks. 1 month later.
Yeah.
3 weeks, my ass! They can't find they're just trying to get to the next town, Provo. They need supplies. They are lost, and they're told by an old man in the woods, it's like they're doomed. You're all doomed. Doomed. Because they're getting ready to go into the mountains during the winter. Fair warning, I guess. They finally get to the town. They get some things. They run into a group of trappers. They're bound for Saguache. I love these guys. Lautzenheiser, Nutter, and the tiniest of them all, their leader, Gene Frenchy Cabazon.
Yeah.
And the trappers don't like the miners. They call them diggers. But they do like Packer's horse. It's like, she's an Arabian, isn't she? Arabians are trapper horses. And this really offends Packer. This is half hour into this. It's not a very long movie. But the next day, Packer wakes up and his horse is gone. And he is convinced that these trappers have taken his horse. And so he leads these men now. He leads these Mormons who are off to Colorado to get rich. He leads them on the wildest goose chase, trying to get his horse back. We get the love song to his horse. You know? She'll never know what she meant to me. Whenever I was with her, I was always as gentle as I could be. You know? And there's nothing I couldn't do when I was on top of you. It gets dirtier from there.
Oh, yes, it does.
And it is the sweetest, gentlest song. It's lovely. As long as you don't listen to the lyrics.
Yes.
So, they try to cross the river. It doesn't work. They they try to cross another river. It doesn't work. Oh, we finally made it. They get to the Grand Canyon. It's like, well, this we'll just go around. It can't be that big. Are there any rivers between here and there? Oh, just the Colorado. Just the Colorado. Only the biggest river I've ever seen in my life.
Which they say after they've crossed it.
Yeah. So then they end up at the Nihonjin Indian tribal camp.
Oh my God.
You know, this only ages well because it is so low budget and studenty and 90s-y.
Yeah.
And because it seems and because the actors seem like they're all in on the joke that this is blatantly offensive, and we're saying that it's offensive, and we're playing into how offensive it is. These are all Japanese people.
Yeah.
And Japanese foreign exchange students that are in this. And they come up as like, we are Indians. Don't you see all our teepees? And the teepees are all Japanese flags. You know, big red dot on a big white border.
Oh my God, I never saw that. Oh.
Because we are Indians. Indians with katanas. And Indians who are practicing kung fu. And this is where we meet the trader or the trappers again, who sing their song, which is the most painful of all the songs to listen to. And it reaches the point, and again, all this is intended joke. It's an intended joke in this because eventually they interrupt the song when one of them says, "Oh, stop, that's sick." And the trappers get into an argument with each other because they were singing in the wrong key and they can't harmonize well.
Yeah.
In which they then get all their music theory wrong. Like, almost all of it. Almost all of it. The horse ran off. This is all being done at the same time that we're getting interruptions with Polly Pry, you know, trying to get this story out. And she's starting to fall for Alfred. She gets to sing her song about how maybe she's not such, you know, as big a bitch as she thought she was. Having her looking off into space, singing song on the stairwell, and a guy comes down the stairs and like tries to see what she's looking at.
Yeah.
And so we get that. Packer, he's only interested in following the trappers now. They leave, so he's like, we got to go. But it's winter. It's dangerous. We can wait till spring and then finish it up. No, we got to go now. So they go, and they run out of food. They end up eating their shoes. They're getting lost. The most optimistic member of the party sees snow for the first time and sings about building a snowman. The second time he does that, the other leader of the group shoots him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, they resort to cannibalism. You know, hey, can you pass me some more Swan? Because that's the guy's name.
Yeah.
They got to do it. They do it. Only the guy who shot him is the only guy who won't eat Swan.
Mm-hmm.
So a few more days, they lose hope, and they start talking about sacrificing one of their own. And Packer is like, I'm going to go on a scouting trip. It's got to be just over this next range. And they show the map and him traveling like in this great big circle of nothing in the wrong direction. He gets back to find that the guy who'd killed Swan had killed everyone else. They get into this great big fight, and Packer is basically forced to camp the rest of the winter, eating the rest of the members of his party. So when he gets to Sagwatch later, he finds his horse, who turns out just ran away to be with the trapper. That upsets him. He gets into a big fight at the saloon, and afterwards, there's the trial, and he is sentenced to die. He's sentenced to be hung. He tries to flee to Wyoming, but he's arrested there, and he's like, have you ever been to Wyoming? Smash cut to just being in the middle of the plateau. Hello? Oh, it sounds awful. And so our final song, a group song, Hang the Bastard, where the whole town gets into, we get to hang this guy until he's dead. But he is saved at the last second as he's being, he's hung, and he is saved by the Nihonjin chief that cuts the rope with his katana, beheads the trapper guy. Packer sees that Polly brought back Leanne, but he realizes he doesn't need Leanne anymore because now, Polly's fallen in love with him and he can be with Polly. Credits.
Oh, don't forget.
With a final jump cut.
Yeah.
With the final jump scare of the other leader who has got a stick in one eye, a cleaver in his other,
and an
other
axe in his
eye,
stomach, and
a pickaxe in his stomach. It just kind of showing him. Ah!
Oh, you forgot to mention, he wasn't just cut down by the chief. He was given a stay of execution by the governor because when this happened, Colorado wasn't a state. Therefore, cannibalism wasn't illegal.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So there is a difference between a bad movie and a low budget movie.
Yes.
And I'm going to maintain that this is a low budget movie that certainly has growing pains. It has things that, especially when you get into the middle third, you just kind of check your watch. It's like, all right, let's get to the next thing. But I imagine if we saw this in the 90s, would have been like, I bet these guys are going somewhere.
Oh, God, yes.
Turns out they did.
Oh.
So talk to me, Goose.
I sort of knew what to expect going into this because, okay, it's Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I'm familiar with their work.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not expecting the low budgetness of it. Because even on streaming and whatever, it's got like VHS quality to it.
Oh, yeah.
I admit I'm not a huge gore person, so during the first few minutes I did kind of like look away, but I recognized the absurdity of all of it. I recognized that. I wasn't turning away because I'm like, I don't like this. It was like, I don't need to see that. My imagination can fill it in. But I recognized what they were doing. And as soon as they cut to the first courthouse scene, I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I am absolutely hooked. I've got to see where this goes. And I absolutely loved it. This is the kind of thing that college me would have gotten behind and loved the hell out of. And this is awesome. It is today Justin's perfect kind of sit down and veg movie. It is stupidly low budget with a bunch of stupid jokes and a lot of clever ones too.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like this and Evil Dead and just those kinds of things where you're like, this can't be good, but it is.
I should not be this entertained by what I'm watching.
Exactly.
So, movie was originally a student film project. It actually just started as a movie trailer called Alfred Packer the Musical. And Troma changed it because they figured that not enough people are going to know who Alfred Packer is.
True.
The judge in the courtroom scenes is Trey Parker's dad. In this movie, we get to hear the origins of Cartman.
That's right. Just random Cartman voice.
Yep, just a random Cartman voice in there. We get to see the origins of the visitors, the little aliens that sometimes show up in like South Park. There's like 4 or 5 incidences of the aliens in this movie. Like there'll be a wide shot and one of the snowmen will be shaped like one of the visitor aliens.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
So I don't remember how many, but there's like 4 or 5 of them that kind of show up in there. This is also the movie. They raised $75,000 to make the movie. It cost $125,000. Troma has released this film 3 separate times. It released it originally on VHS and DVD. Then it released it again as part of its Tromasterpiece Theater. And then released it again on Blu-ray. In high def.
I could not imagine this being in high def.
Oh, and I don't think it should be. I think it would lose something. Honestly, this movie is at its best on an old CRT monitor.
Yeah.
Also, Matt Stone, who plays one of the other actors in it or characters in it, and I've forgotten his character's name. A pathological liar, basically. That's where we also get the origins of not Stan, Kyle's afro.
Yes.
When he takes off the hat and he's got the great big
And it's a similar
afro.
kind of hat too.
Yes. And so I would almost say that some of the things that you get in this movie are as much about they're really as much about seeing what's going to be. It's like, oh wow, what these guys are going to do this other stuff. Humphrey was the name of the character, because so many of the little ideas in this show up later, much more polished in later Matt Stone and Trey Parker things. From the big showstopper musical numbers that will be fine-tuned for Book of Mormon. Even Dian Bakar as an actor who, so he played the small, skinny guy.
Oh, yeah.
That then played Squeak in, and he played, he played the sidekick in Orgasmo.
Yeah.
He's been in a few of those things. But, I mean, even seeing kind of how his acting would develop can be seen in this. So it's a lot of fun in this grotesque, low-budget, weird thing.
So, personal headcanon.
Yeah.
So this mostly takes place in Colorado.
Yep.
It is my personal headcanon now that most of the people we encounter in Cannibal the Musical are the ancestors of the folks of South Park, Colorado.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the hang the bastard, hang him high.
Exactly. It's just one of those where of course it's in my opinion, it's in the same universe.
Oh yeah. I'm fine with that. I think it's absolutely fine for that. Any other thoughts you got? I think one more, and then because it's one of those that I saw it at the right time to really just love it, knowing that it's not great cinema, but it's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any more notes per se, but I really did enjoy it. And after seeing it, for the first time, I told a couple of other people about it, and they're like, okay, well, I got to check this out. And I'm like, yeah, please do.
So, the kind of the last thing that I say, and it hasn't been done yet that I know of, but I want to pool our musical talents, us, and do a mashup of Let's Build a Snowman with Do You Wanna Build a Snowman?
Oh.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Yeah.
We can make him tall, or we can make him not so tall. Snowman.
It's all a parody, Disney. You can't sue.
So it's a see it from me. It's for free on just about any streaming site. Just it's stupid and it's low budget and it's not for kids and it's absolutely wonderfully funny.
I agree. See it from me. Everything you've said, I agree with. This was so phenomenally bad in the best way possible.
So I think that means it's your turn, right?
Yes, it is.
All right.